What's up, guys? Welcome to Cinematic Cigars. This is Mike and Will, and we're going to be talking about our spoiler-free review. Spoiler-free, so you can watch this whole thing and not give a fuck. Okay, our spoiler-free review for Avengers Endgame.
Oh, the sex reference and a drug reference.
He's drunk, too.
Oh my god, he's so f***ed up right now.
You were 56-pound sperm.
Oh my god, what are we gonna do? Da-da-da-da.
Jaeger.
This is happening right behind me, isn't it?
Ball joints.
It turns into a T-Rex.
I know it's there when I feel it at the tips.
Oh, I just licked Everclear. There's more Everclear.
You used Everclear.
Oh god, we're doing Everclear again.
It's like a ham potato alcohol orgy.
Grandma's killer fruit drink.
Fire truck that becomes a robot!
Unique twerking ability.
What is this thing?
Oh crap, it was supposed to be rum.
You say Quetzalcoatl. Free Savakadu bread.
It's great with Szechuan sauce.
Oh, God.
Right out the gate, I'm gonna say... no, you know what? I'll save that for the spoiler review.
Okay.
Well, okay, I will say this, because I don't think it's spoilery. Right out the gate, Infinity War would have been a way better name for this movie. And Endgame, if you think about it, would have been a way better name for the last movie.
It's a play on words because of Doctor Strange's...
No, I get that. Like, he says we're in the Endgame.
Yeah,
I get
so
that.
that's where they're getting it from.
But as for the actual, like, what actually happens in the movie, there really is no Infinity War in Infinity War. There are Infinity Battles. But really, they're just fighting Thanos, who's collecting the stones.
Right.
So, I'll get on more of that during the spoiler review. Just kind of I thought it was funny as I'm watching the movie. I'm like, this should have been called Infinity War. Oh, first off, there is no end credit scene. Do not wait.
So
do not wait. There's no beginning credit scene. There's no end credit scene. There are no credit scenes.
I mean, they would have already been there for the beginning credit scene if there ever has been
beginning of the end credit scene.
Oh, you mean mid-credit.
Mid-credit, thank you. I couldn't
scene.
think of the term. There is no mid-credit scene. There is no end credit scene.
No, there is no end credit scene. I don't know. Kind of makes sense, kind of not. It is a Marvel movie, and that's something that they've been doing this whole time. So, no, they started it off
strong.
Really, yeah, so they pick up where they left off really well. So, be prepared for that. It didn't feel like a 3-hour-long movie.
It did, to me. Which I liked,
really,
though, in a good way for me. I liked the fact that... Because I had to keep looking at the time. I had to keep looking at my phone because I had a potential emergency situation with my cat. Yeah, my cat. Make fun of me. I don't give a shit. My fucking cat. But... I remember thinking, man, I still got an hour left of this to watch, and it was exciting because I was like, I'm enjoying this.
For me, it didn't feel like a 3-hour-long movie probably because I wasn't looking at the clock.
That could be a factor.
But because the story kept moving, it kept going. It didn't have a lot of legit downtime.
But the downtime it did have was key moments, and very well done.
It was they were planned. It was all plotted. It wasn't unnecessary downtime where, your enemy is going on this long prologue about what they're doing and why they're doing it, because they already covered what Thanos was doing in Infinity War.
This is one of the most sequeliest Marvel films. This movie actually had really good ADR. One of the earlier scenes with Stark on the spaceship was very quiet. And a lot of the little movements of what was happening on the ship just made the scene. And you got in my mind, I know there's somebody in the in post with like a leather jacket just moving stuff for this amazing quiet scene.
And for those who don't know what ADR is...
Sound control, effectively, I would say.
Sound control?
Yeah, well...
You mean the audio effects guys that literally sit there with, like, trash bags to make rustling sounds in the background.
If you've ever heard about the brilliance of how R2-D2's sounds came to be, or the lightsabers, it's just people that just find unique sounds, have them in the back burner, and then the movie comes along, they're like, it'd be good here, this thing I've had for the longest time, and it's like a crankshaft or something.
Right.
That they've had in the back of their pickup or whatever. Whereas Hellboy sucked, this movie freaking nailed it.
They did do a really good job with the audio and the graphics. There were some issues I had with the graphics.
Occasionally,
but CGI is CGI. It's never going to be perfect.
which is weird because, you know, we've watched 3D printing become a household thing, consumer grade thing, but CGI still hasn't gotten a lot better than Jar Jar, which is so...
It's gotten way better than
I mean,
Jar
it's
Jar.
gotten way better, but at the same time, it still has that foundation in what was bad about Jar Jar. A lot it does.
What do you mean? Like, just...
The texturing and the not real lookingness of it, and
the thing that
either too fluid or not fluid enough.
well, the only time you notice that is when it's a sentient being. Because I can guarantee you that entire movie, the background was CGI.
Yeah.
And you can't tell at all because it's not a sentient being that's moving around. It's not something you're focusing on.
But then you think about
when it's Tony Stark in an outfit that's obviously not an
Person
actual
wearing an
armor.
outfit.
It's CGI'd on there. You can tell because it's a sentient thing that you're looking at. It's supposed to be a human being in a suit, and you can see there's some tracking issues here and there. Or like when someone grabs something and, like, you know, the thing is real but the hand is not. And like the thing is moving well like it's supposed to, but the hand's like having a hard time tracking it. That's, I mean, it's never going to be perfect. It's going to be good, but it's never going to be perfect. If it becomes perfect, what's the purpose of reality at that point?
I'm starting to wonder that myself.
I love the fact that they pull you into their world.
And we lived in that world for a minute.
They do pull you into their world, and they make you feel what they're feeling, which is really, really good. And we can't really go much more in depth than that.
But I will say, though, that for a Marvel movie, which typically sort of ignores the impact of these super elements in it, how they impact the world around them, this, we actually got to exist in it for a minute. And not to the level I would prefer, but I understand why. When I realized we were there, I was like, okay, I'm in this.
So they actually developed the characters really well insofar as making you feel what they're going through, and you see it through their perspective. And I really, really enjoyed that, because it's not too often that they do the character's perspective on things. They oftentimes just kind of have you be from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, there's not a lot of in-depth on that. I'll give you that. Yeah, I agree with you. I like what they did with the characters, and we talked a little on it last night, I don't like that there weren't any through characters.
Any through characters?
Any character arcs that started at the beginning of the film and continued throughout the film and had a definitive ending. There were two characters in particular that I thought were going to have a really nice arc through it. Two smaller characters, typically not background, but secondary characters in the movies that they've been a part of, that I thought were going to get these nice through arcs that just didn't end up happening.
Honestly, I think if you look at these movies as a whole, not just as individual movies, you see a lot. Because remember,
and I'll agree with that.
They wrote these characters as a series of movies, not just as individual movies. So they do actually kind of show you how far that character has come. Like each character, how far they've come from when they started, wherever they started. So each individual character, they actually do kind of show that in a passive way, just to kind of, reintroduce you to the character just a little bit. Not a lot. They're obviously not going to spell out their whole story again, but
right.
They do kind of show you how they've grown some throughout the course of these movies, because these movies are not meant to be watched you can watch them one-offs, but they're not meant to be watched that way.
Yeah,
they're meant to be
probably
watched
a few
as a
you
whole.
can skip, but well, not at this point, because they kind of pulled everything in on this.
Yeah, everything was involved on this, so it's not something that you can just kind of I'll just go watch it. No, you have to watch pretty much everything before this.
Yeah, because they went back to even some of their worst films in this one, which was, I mean, I know why they had to, but I was just like, okay, yeah, you kind of have to watch everything to appreciate the full scope of this one. Maybe not so much the last one, but for this one, yeah.
So, now the character development was solid. Maybe they didn't have a story arc, but this was the summation of a 10, 11 year long story arc.
22 freaking movies.
Yeah, so this is the end game. Literally, it's the end of this big long story that they've been telling for years. You have anything else on the? Because I think we're pretty much tapped out of what we can say in the spoiler-free review here.
Minor spoiler, I'll say. It's more of sort of what doesn't happen, I guess.
Okay.
It bothered me that, and maybe this will actually kind of help people deal with it, because it bothered the hell out of me. Captain Marvel literally shows up in the movie just to leave.
She shows up a couple times. When she is there, she causes mass destruction, which is insane.
And I'll give you that.
Because she is absolutely overpowered. But I think that's the reason why.
They wrote her out so much, yeah.
Because at that point, you put her power against anyone else's that's in the movie. Mm-hmm. She is a destructive force. Everyone else is useless at that point. So I think that's probably why they did that.
Which makes sense. I agree. It's just that up until this point, they built her up to be such a major factor in this movie, and for her to actually not really contribute anything story-wise and to barely be there is kind of frustrating. Because she was the end credit scene of
Infinity War.
Yeah, that's right. And then they even had that end credit scene, I think at the end of Captain Marvel, where she showed up and was like, where's Fury?
Right. So, but we'll get more into that during the spoilerful review, because I don't want to ruin anybody that hasn't seen this yet. So, I really don't have anything else to say in the spoiler-free review. You got anything else? So, we're going to sum this up for the cinematic cigar review, for the spoiler-free review on Avengers Endgame. If you've seen the movie, go ahead and just move on to the next video, because we're going to have the spoiler-full review coming up here real soon. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you really, really, really like us, make sure you hit the bell. Then you get notifications of when we upload our videos. So, anyways, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.